Hello, hello! My name is Callista, and welcome back to Dragon Age Origins. In the last episode, we were doing another round of party camp talks, and next up is Sten.
What is your wish, Kadan?
I have a question.
I am hardly surprised.
Actually, never mind.
Very well.
I wanted to discuss something you mentioned.
Speak, then.
We do still have this. Why do the Dalish-ious fight you?
Isn't it the nature of a wound to bleed? I have no more answers than you. Why do we fight the Darkspawn? Why do the Darkspawn fight us?
It's not the same thing. Darkspawn aren't intelligent. Don't the Dalish-ious give reasons? There has to be an explanation. Ooh. I'm very drawn to number one, but at the same time, Artin knows that some Darkspawn are intelligent. Emissaries, for example, apparently they're capable of very limited speech. And they can use magic, and the Darkspawn have like a pecking order, with, Herlock Alphas and Genlock Alphas and, the emissaries, so that there is some level of intelligence to the Darkspawn. Not much, but there's some. And that's why I'm kind of like, don't necessarily know if I want to go with that. At the end of the day, the Dalish-ious are people. And you would expect, if a group of people are fighting, you would expect that at some point they would be like, we're fighting for this. Don't the Dalish-ious give reasons?
Now and then. Do the reasons matter? It makes little difference to those they fight. Tell me then, why do you fight?
To defend my people, to get revenge, because I have to prove myself. No, there is only one answer for Artin here. To defend my people.
In the Antam, we are told of the enemy. Assume he loves as you love, hates as you hate, and fights just as hard as you. It's a lie, of course. But does that matter, so long as you stand and believe you know your enemy? The Dalish-ious wish us dead, and we wish to go on living. The point of our war is war.
Let's go.
As you wish.
Yeah, I am more than happy to just drip feed Sten's conversations, just so that they last us until the end of the game.
Shale of House Cadash. Is that who I once was? I find this difficult to believe.
You're tall for a dwarf. Are you doubting Caradin now? You think the name's a coincidence? I don't find it difficult to believe at all. Ooh, not number one. And if I'm being brutally honest, I don't think Artin thinks the name's a coincidence. I think that Wilhelm, upon finding Shale, probably was like, what's your name? Shale says Shale, and Wilhelm thinks that Shale is referring to the rock, if you get what I mean. I don't think that Wilhelm was like, yeah, he liked to go into the deep roads and like explore for hidden treasure, but I don't think he was, an expert on dwarven names. He just heard a word that sounded like a type of rock, and so he was like, oh, well, it must be S-H-A-L-E rather than S-H-A-Y-L-L-E. So I don't think that's a coincidence. I think that's a misunderstanding. I don't find it difficult to believe at all. Artin had no idea that the golems were made out of dwarves prior to finding Caradin's journal, so I think she's still a little bit shocked about that, to be honest. Which leaves us with number two. Are you doubting Caradin now?
No, I do not doubt him. I simply cannot remember. If I was this Shale of House Cadash, as Caradin said, there must be some evidence of my existence remaining. I must find it.
You think something will trigger your memory? Perhaps there are records in Orzammar. You need further proof. Why? If Shale wants further proof, that's up to them. We have no reason you know, to be like, oh, why do you need proof? Yeah, if Cadash Thaig, I don't necessarily know if Artin, she might have heard of it, like, oh, it's abandoned and nothing's there anymore. But I don't think she'd necessarily know the ins and outs of it. But, you know, the memories in Orzammar might have that kind of information. Perhaps there are records in Orzammar.
There is another way. What Caradon said, it has allowed me to remember one thing. I believe I know where Cadash Thaig is.
Isn't that proof right there? We can go there if you like. Are you certain about this? We have the Blight to deal with, Shale. So, we are camped just outside Orzammar. And we do need to return there because there are still a couple of things I want to do in the city. And if Shale can lead us directly to Cadash Thaig, then it really shouldn't take that long. We can go there if you like.
Its offer is appreciated. I will mark the location on its map. If we can journey there soon, I am most curious as to what we will find.
Okie doke, Shale.
I have a question for it, if it will indulge me. It chose to side with Caradon and destroy the Anvil of the Void. I agree with its decision, and yet the Paragon Branca was the reason it ventured into the Deep Roads. Why did it choose to defy her? It could not have known for certain that Caradon would be able to assist it with the dwarves.
I was willing to risk it. It was the right thing to do. Branca was insane. I wasn't siding with her. You believed in Caradon. I wasn't going to let you down. I don't know, really. I went with my gut. Yeah, Branca was crazy. And to be perfectly blunt, if Caradon hadn't been willing to help out with the election, Artin would have still killed Branca. Branca was insane. I wasn't siding with her.
Truly. It seems a little mad itself. At any rate, I wanted to thank it. It gave Caradon the end he wanted, and I'm pleased to have been a part of it. I will have to think on Caradon's words to me. It was a great deal to absorb, but for now, let us go on.
Oh. It doesn't really matter, we're still at plus 92, but damn.
It speaks.
I have some questions.
It doesn't have better things to do.
So, you're female. I had no idea.
I did not think it needed to be said. It has never told me what gender it is, has it?
I am female. I'm not made of rock. You just don't seem... Ooh. I don't know what I want to go with here. I mean... I'm not really into number 3. Because who is Artin to deem what is womanly and what isn't? Because I mean, Artin breaks tradition by being a commander in the army. If you know, the vast majority of, you know, other nobles would have had their way, Artin would have been married off and just kind of pumping out babies. So I think most nobles would say, well, yeah, she looks very pretty, but she's not very feminine at all because she's insisting on being a commander and doing things like that. So Artin really isn't in any place to judge. Artin isn't made of rock, that is fact, but... Ooh. It is between 1 or 2. I did not think it needed to be said. It has never told me what gender it is, has it? To be fair, I think Artin would just be like, everyone can tell I'm a woman. Everyone can tell I'm female, so why would I need to say it compared to Shale, who's very, very androgynous? I am not made out of rock.
And if it was, perhaps its gender would have been more obvious. The truth is that whatever gender I was is irrelevant now. I am a golem. I have no gender. It will not become an issue.
No, 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 not at all. I am female myself. I think it's great. Are we going to fight over the same man? Yeah, I don't think that Alistair is going to be trying to hook up with Shale anytime soon. Yeah, I mean, if Shale has a point, they are a golem. They don't have anything going on. They're like a Barbie doll or a Ken doll for, you know, crying out loud. So no, of course this isn't going to become an issue. And no, not at all.
Good. Let us leave it at that. Now, let us crush something soft and watch it fountain blood. That is a girlish thing to want to do, yes?
Yes, it absolutely is, Shale. 100% agree. I do find what Shale says that, you know, like I'm not made of rock. And if you had been, maybe I would have had an easier time telling your gender. I do like that line.
What comes, my friend?
I'd like to ask you something.
So, full of questions, are you?
Never mind. And I don't think there's anything interpersonal, but I'll ask anyway.
What comes, my friend?
I'd like to discuss something personal.
We're in camp, so 'tis as good a time as any.
And never mind. And last but not least, Alistair, buddy. Oh, I bet Artin's missed him so much.
Something you need, my dear?
I have some questions.
Of course.
What was it like to be a Grey Warden with all the others?
I didn't know them for very long, but I guess it was longer than you. You never met them all, did you? They were quite a group. Actually, they felt like an extended family, since we were all cut off from our former lives. We also laughed more than you'd think. There was this one time... Well, you probably don't want to hear stories about men you didn't know.
No, I'd like to hear about them. Weren't there any women? Were there any dwarves amongst them? You're probably right. So while I think that Artin is interested, you know, in whether there were dwarves in this group, I think Alistair wanted to tell the story and then he kind of was like, oh, I probably shouldn't. And the fact that Alistair wanted to tell this story is what's important to Artin, so we'll hear it. And no, I'd like to hear about them.
There was one Grey Warden who came all the way from the Anderfells. What was his name? Gregor. He was a burly man with the biggest, fuzziest beard you've ever seen. And the man could drink. He drank all the time, but he never got drunk. Finally, we all made a pool to see just how many pints it would take to put him under the table.
Sounds like you had a lot of fun. That's disgusting. Just one of the boys, I see. Sounds like you had a lot of fun.
Sometimes. We were kin of a sort. All of us had gone through the joining, so we knew... Well, anyhow, it doesn't have to be deadly serious all the time. Anyhow, we never did find out. He said he'd drink a pint for every half pint that the rest of us drank. He was still going by the time the rest of us were passed out. I'm told that Duncan walked in later on and saw us all passed out from one end of the hall to the other, and Gregor still drinking. Duncan laughed until he nearly...
A lot of people have died, Alistair, and a lot more will. I'm sorry, this must be hard for you. Not this again. Aren't you done yet? Yeah, so... From Artin's understanding, Duncan was like the first person that was really important to Alistair, who Alistair lost. And I think Artin has lost a lot of people. She's had so many of her cousins die fighting the Darkspawn that she's just kind of numb to it at this point. It's like, oh, cousin Terry's dead, oh well. And so I think that while she doesn't really understand where Alistair is coming from, I think she does... On some level, she's like, this is new for him, and I should be understanding of that. I'm sorry. This must be hard for you.
Yes, I suppose so. I thought I was done with this, but it just struck me that I have nothing to remember Duncan by. Nothing at all. There's no body, not even a token of his that I could take with me. That must sound really stupid to you.
You have your memories of him. Not at all. Let's not talk about it. It certainly does. No. Considering that Artin has given up being able to do ranged damage in favor of carrying the Shield of Idukun and the sword that her father gave her right at the beginning of the game, I think it would be a little hypocritical of her if she was like, tokens? Pfft, you don't need them. Not at all.
I just would have liked something of his to take with me, that's all. Well, there's no use in moaning about it, is there? He's gone. Let's just go.
I do think that Artin takes very good care of the letter that her father wrote. Gorham gave us that letter when he gave us the Shield of Idukun, and I do imagine that Artin keeps it very neatly folded in some little pouch somewhere on her person. And yes, rather hypocritical if she was just suddenly very dismissive of Alistair keeping tokens when she does the exact same thing.
I'm wondering something. I'd like to know your thoughts about some of our traveling companions. Do you mind if I ask?
Go ahead, I don't mind. What do you want to know? It's none of your business, Alistair. Time for the juicy gossip, I take it. Ooh. Why do you want to know?
I've got this nefarious plan to go around to each of them and secretly tell them all the nasty things you said. That way they'll mutiny and I shall become the group leader.
If you want to lead, all you have to do is ask. I wouldn't trust you to lead us to lunch. Very cute, so you know I'm laughing at you, not with you, then forget it. If you want to lead, all you have to do is ask.
What? Lead? Me? No leading. Bad things happen when I lead. We get lost, people die, and the next thing you know I'm stranded somewhere, without any pants. Seriously though, I'm only curious. I've had enough time to form my own opinions, and I just want to see if yours are any different.
Who do you want to ask about? Only if you tell me your opinion as well. Why do you care what I think? Sounds like fun, ask away. Yeah, I don't think that Artin wouldn't have a reason not to discuss this with Alistair. Only if you tell me your opinion as well.
Just try and stop me. Let's see, where should I begin? How about Qwinn? You must have an opinion on the smell, at the very least.
No opinion, next. I thought you two would get along. I actually rather like him. He is a bit much, isn't he? He's an excellent warrior. He dies every 2 minutes. He is a bit much, isn't he?
Well, let's just say that I'm not so surprised he's not married any longer. How he lifts his sword is a bit of a mystery. Though I suppose the point is that he does lift it. And so long as we can point him in the right direction, he charges too. He has gusto, I'll give him that. Zevran, the elf. You can't trust him, can you? Do you believe his so-called vow?
No opinion, next. Maybe we'll see. Yes, I actually do. No, not really. Why are you jealous? Ooh. It's between 2 or 4. Because I think Artin trusts Zevran's vow up to a point. Because I think she gets that Zevran will only do what Zevran wants to do. And if we reach a situation where Zevran's like, hell no, she's like, he'll run. He'll leave. So I guess that's a maybe. Maybe. We'll see.
That's a lot to put on a maybe, isn't it? He's an assassin. The crows aren't known for giving up. Maybe he's just biding his time.
I don't think he'll try again. If he tries anything, then he'll die. I'm willing to give him a chance. He's very useful. Yeah, I think that... So Artin... I don't think Artin is blindly trusting Zevran. She is keeping an eye on him, but at the end of the day, she's willing to give him the chance. I'm willing to give him a chance.
Well, if you are, then maybe I should too. But that doesn't mean I won't keep an eye on him. He's just too shifty. What about Sten? The way he looks at me with those eyes, creepy. And he's so quiet for someone so big.
No opinion, next. I respect him. There's no reason to be frightened of Sten. He's dedicated, I'll give him that. I agree, the Qunari are unsettling. I think that Artin... The dwarves of Orzammar and the Qunari are very similar in that the dwarves have a caste system. Everything you are is decided by what you were born into, and you really can't deviate from that. And in the Qwinn, your kind of life path is decided for you by the Tamazrans, and you can't deviate from that. So it's between 2 or 3. I don't think Artin has ever been frightened of Sten. I do think she respects Sten. She was very... I don't necessarily know if suspicious is the right word when she first met him. I mean, he was a murderer, but at the same time, he admitted. He admitted he was a murderer. Like, literally, he was like, I killed 8 people, including the children. He's always been very honest and upfront, and he hasn't really hidden anything. Yeah, I think she respects him. I respect him.
The more I talk to him, the more reasonable he does seem. His philosophy is so strange. But it doesn't sound at all as vile as the Chantry describes it. And yet, he killed all those people. He doesn't even deny it. Doesn't that bother you?
We're all killers, Alistair. It means he's good at what he does. Yes, it does bother me a little. He seems to regret what he did. Yeah, I think that was the main point that Artin kind of... Because it was the fact that, like, yeah, he killed all those people, and then he just sat in the farmhouse and waited for days until the guards came. And I mean, if he was able to take out 8 farmers, admittedly some of those farmers were children, but like 8 people, barehanded, he totally could have taken down a couple of guards. And instead, he very calmly, you know, gave himself into their care, allowed himself to be arrested, and he didn't put up any kind of fight. He didn't beg Artin, oh, please let me out, please let me out. He was just kind of there, and upon, you know, us saying like, oh, we're Grey Wardens, would you maybe like to help out with the Blight? His response was, this can be my atonement. He seems to regret what he did.
I'm not so sure that his regret means the same as it would for us. The Qunari sense of honor is a bit hard to grasp. For me, anyway. What about Liliana? Is she crazy? Or do you really believe in her vision?
No opinion, next. You don't believe in religious visions and miracles. I believe that she believes in her vision. She's crazy. Without a doubt, it could be true. Who's to say it isn't? So Artin doesn't believe that Liliana had a vision. Because Artin doesn't believe in the Maker. How are you going to get a vision from someone who doesn't exist? I think that... I think both Artin and I are of one mind of this, in that religious people will sometimes ascribe divine intervention to certain things. And I think in Liliana's case, she had a nightmare. She was surrounded by darkness and, she was surrounded by darkness, and then she leapt into the darkness, and then she woke up, and then she went into the garden, and she found that an old rose bush had bloomed. And then, upon hearing that there was a blight, she ascribed her dream to that. If I don't know if I'm making any sense here, but like, upon hearing that there was a blight, she kind of went, oh, that dream must have been a vision. It was a vision sent by the Maker. I'm meant to help. And I don't think Artin means that to slag her off. She's helping with the blight. She doesn't have to be doing that, and she is, and that speaks well of her. But Artin is very much of the opinion that she had a nightmare, and then a rose bush bloomed. Which isn't all that amazing. Like, yeah, she says it was dead, but, you know, sometimes, you know, flowers and things, they die, but then they rebloom in exactly the same way. That's just kind of how nature is. And I think that both myself and Artin are kind of like, Liliana's just ascribed this sense of divinity around it, when really, she and I both think there really isn't any. At the same time, that belief caused her to help us. And I think Artin does believe that Liliana believes. And that's kind of what's important here. I believe that she believes in her vision.
That's one way to put it. I don't know what to make of her. If you look at her when she doesn't see you, she just looks so sad. I almost feel guilty taking her away from her life.
It was her choice. She's proven very useful. I don't. This is good for her. Don't be such a soft touch. Oh. That's the thing with the Chantry. They tell you exactly how you should be thinking and exactly how you should be feeling. And I think Liliana has relied on that her entire life. And so when she's just kind of by herself and she has no one except her own conscience to kind of make her way through, I think that gets her down. Ugh. It's between 1 or 3. My main thinking of, is this good for her? Because all she's done is change the Chantry for Artin. And I think Artin does get that, you know, like, before she was relying on the Chantry to tell her how to think. Now she's relying on me to tell her how to think. She just needs to decide for herself. Yeah, I don't necessarily think that Artin would think that this is a good thing for Liliana, but at the end of the day, it was her choice to come. It was her choice.
Yes, I know. Still, I feel badly for her. Morrigan, do you trust her? Think about it. Maybe Flemeth sent her with us for some other reason than she said.
No opinion. Next. You really don't like each other, do you? What reason could she have to betray us? You're probably right. Artin adores Morrigan. I think, I've said this before, Artin and Morrigan, they're kind of two sides of the same coin. They're like, they share a very similar alignment. So like, Artin is lawful neutral, bordering lawful good. Morrigan is lawful neutral, bordering lawful evil. They're very similar. At the same time, as much as Artin really does like Morrigan, and I think she does trust Morrigan, I wouldn't say she trusts Morrigan completely, because Alistair does make a good point. What if Flemeth sent her with us, you know, for some ulterior motive? Artin doesn't know Flemeth. You know, Artin can't trust Flemeth. So not number 3, not number 1. I think that Artin is thinking number 4, but I don't, if I'm being perfectly honest, I think that's something she wants to keep to herself. And so she's going to redirect the conversation. You really don't like each other, do you?
Well, aside from the fact that she's a complete and utter bitch, no, I don't like her at all. Why, do you?
It's none of your business. I like her just fine. I don't have to like her. She's useful. Where's the option for she's one of my bestest friends? I guess all I have is number 2. I like her just fine.
Great. I am thrilled beyond words. Now, really. Enough. I think my curiosity is sated. Let's get back to it, shall we?
Indeed, Alistair. And with that, I am just about out of time for this episode. In the next, we will be heading back to Orzammar, hopefully to do Shale's companion quest, and maybe to pick up a little gift for Liliana if she'll tell us about how much she likes nugs. But until then, please remember to like if you enjoyed, leave a comment below, and if you wanted to subscribe, it would be very much appreciated. I've been Callista. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next episode.